Evening YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Outsiders. My name's Sean Connors, and welcome back. And thank you very much so far for all the subscribers that have joined us over our first week in a little bit. It's been absolutely awesome, so thank you for those. Let's hope we attract a few more people. Today, I want to focus on something that's actually quite dear to my heart. Right back in the roots of this game, really, my hobby. When you look back in the past for role-play games, you often think of things like how basic it was in terms of D&D First Edition, the original red box set, or things like that. Well, back in the early 80s, mid-80s actually, came out something called Dragon Warriors. Now originally, and I don't happen to have a copy to hand, but originally these came in softback books. Now they've been recently re-released by Mongoose, under the title of Magnum Opus Press. But really it's Mongoose Publishing that actually did these, as far as I'm aware, but it's a subsidiary group. The original writers were people called Dave Morris and Oliver Johnson. What I love about this book is that although this has been reproduced from those original 6 paperbacks that I never had the fortune to actually collect. I saw someone else running it, and I liked the look of what I saw, and I caught a couple of sessions, and I thought, wow, this would be really good. And then it just was impossible to get them. They went out of print, and I never saw them again. I've tracked them down on eBay over many years actually, and finally got them. And after finally getting the final book, a few weeks later, they released it again, which is quite ironic, really. However, I've got to say, what I love about this is that it's still original. They've changed nothing. Nothing's changed. It's like a throwback to the past. Dragon Warriors. I was absolutely gobsmacked. I love it because when you flick open the book like this, I mean, this will tell you how basic it is. That's the character sheet. You can see as simple as it is. It focuses on 5 key skills. It has a very simple formula for attack and defence. Are the character classes balanced? Hell no. Does the system hold up well over a period of time? No. At higher levels it definitely breaks down because of the magic in the game. Is it fun to play? Yeah. Is it easy to play? Yes, it is. And I suppose the brilliant thing about Dragon Warriors is the fact that I love the fact this is like looking at nostalgia, this book. This is like taking a trip back for me. If I had to recommend one role-play game to someone who new to getting into DMing, who didn't want all the complexity of stuff generally, and who could pretty much think for himself, then probably this is the book, because it takes seconds to roll up a character. It takes no time to work out what to do. Combat is classic old-school combat, which basically means it's very abstract. There's no real thought processes in terms of what do I do. Basically, you just hit things or cast spells. But it's brilliant fun, and I have to say, of all the game systems, this is a tricky one to actually talk about, because in essence, is it complicated? Is it original in any sort of format? Is it something really uniquely different? No, it's a fantasy game. What I do like about it is that a lot of the maps that they use in their world do hark back to a time that I think is sadly missing now in a lot of RPGs. It's that style of mapping that just is, and now I can't find any, which is typical, isn't it? But it's that style of mapping that's I love, because it just adds everything. And I'm going to try very quickly to find it. So here we are. This is an example. The old styles of mapping, that sort of thing I love. So they have territories. You get the feeling from it that it's very much like our own world. I mean, again, it's a bit like the Warhammer 3rd that I recently reviewed. This system really takes its roots from our own history and society. But take nothing away from it. This was developed in 1985, 1986, and it's an absolute classic. I really recommend this for a new DM. I recommend this for anybody who wants to touch or fledge their wings as cutting their teeth as a DM. I can't speak highly enough about this system, because you can get into playing quite quickly. Does it answer all the questions for you? Well, the index is good, but no, there are still grey areas even in the book that you're going to have to come up with, how do I get around these problems? What does this mean? How do I improvise that? But do you know what? I actually think that's good, because in a system as simple as this, because when you get into more complicated systems later, or things that really appeal to you, you'll have cut your teeth where it matters most. So for a DM, I'd say, you know what? This is great. If you're a new DM to a game, this is fantastic. And if you want a trip down memory lane, Dragon Warriors is definitely it. So I speak with fondness about this system. It makes it very difficult to rate, because in today's games, the games have changed and moved on quite a lot. And as I think I've touched on this before, I hope I have, that I think games as a whole, over the next few years, are going to start harking back to their roots more and more as people realise that this really is, you either generate or develop a game for the computer market, and that's great, or you develop a game for the pen and paper people, like myself, and you guys out there. You've got to start looking at the roots of the industry and start moving it back, and this will do that for you. So this has a really big plus for me. There's a lot in this to recommend it. In fact, actually, some of the mechanics in it are, although very simple, the roll to hit and the roll to penetrate armour is a very nice idea. I remember the small amounts of small games I have run this for has been mostly my own kids, actually. I started running this on before cutting their teeth at other types of role-play games. But for me, it does some wonderful things very well, and some of the mechanics are very fresh and actually worthwhile. Some of it's incredibly basic. But you know what? Is that a bad thing? I don't think so. I think sometimes we've got to start remembering that this game is all about getting into it and having fun, and those are the keys. Is it fun? Yes. Does it cover everything you're going to need as a DM? No. Are there big holes in it? Definitely, yes. Is it balanced? Definitely not. How much of a challenge is it going to be to reach high level in this game? Massive. Because this is old school experience points. It's slow. It's a grind. You certainly have earned them by the time you reach the higher levels. So there's no doubt in my mind. This definitely scores on many levels for different reasons. So I'm not going to give it the highest score. Obviously that still belongs to Warhammer. But I'm going to give Dragon Warriors a 3. And I hope that some of you take the opportunity to look more into the history of Dragon Warriors, have a look at where it came from, realise its merits, see its flaws for what they are, but take a punt on it and give it a chance. It's an absolutely wonderful system. And if enough of you out there actually like it and I get enough of a response, then I will also follow up with other reviews of other books that have been released. But mark my words, some of the stuff that's been released for this, and particularly what you get in this book, is wonderful. There's enough material in here to get you started, and there's plenty to keep you going. And what they've done with their Bestiary and other books does justice to this system massively, and a lot of developers and designers could take heed of it. So anyway, I've been Sean Connors, this has been Outsiders. Until the next time, take care.